Give me a home out in the bush, please. Lots of more trees, a bong or two, me mate. Wild rose, some skunk out the back. Hydro in the shed, and the old smoking shed, and the old smoking shed.
G'day, welcome to the Terpene Table, where cannabis culture meets cultivated conversation. I'm your host, Wild Roo, grower, guide, and your mate in the garden. Each episode, we dig into the roots of the plant, from terpene talk to cultivar deep dives, to stories shaping the cannabis scene. So roll one, pack one, pour a cuppa, and let's hop in. This episode of the Terpene Table is brought to you by Growers Pal. Aussie legends when it comes to keeping your clones safe in transit. If you've ever tried to post a cutting wrapped in wet paper towel and cling wrap, you'll know it's a gamble at best. Growers Pal clone shippers take the guesswork out of it. Purpose built with segmented compartments to keep your genetics snug, and even a little LED light to keep them happy on the road. Whether they're headed up the coast or across the country, you can trust your prize cuts will land fresh, not fried. They're mates of the Roo and they're mates of the Discord, so you know their growers looking out for you, not just trying to sell you something. Head over to growerspal.com.au, that's www.growerspal.com.au, and sort yourself out with a proper kit for moving your genetics across the country, because good clones deserve a fair dinkum safe ride. Ever cracked a jar and caught that subtle, woody, almost tea tree whiff? Something earthy, grounding, and a little floral. That's Nerolidol. Not as loud as Limonene, or as spicy as Caryophyllene. But don't let that fool you. Nerolidol is a terpene with some serious depth, from ancient remedies to modern day cannabis science, and even a spot in your skincare. Today, we're diving into the dreamy world of Nerolidol. G'day, welcome back to the Terpene Table. I'm your host, Wild Roo, your companion in the canopy. This is where we sit down, roll up, and unpack the aromas, the culture, and the science behind the plant we all love. We've reached episode 10, a big milestone, and today's terpene is one that's quite often overlooked, but quietly powerful. Nerolidol, sometimes called the driftwood terpene. It's got this calming, almost sedative vibe, and it's not only found in cannabis, but also in jasmine, ginger, tea tree, and lemongrass. So, whether you're winding down in the garden, cruising home after a long day, or just dodging responsibilities with a perfectly rolled cone, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you've pulled up a chair. So spark it, sip it, or just sink in. This is the Dreamer's Corner of the Terpene Table. What is Nerolidol? Nerolidol is a sesquiterpene, a heavier, more complex terpene than the lighter monoterpenes like Limonene or Pinene. There are two forms, cis-Nerolidol and trans-Nerolidol. Both appear in cannabis, both occur naturally, and both give off a woody, slightly fruity, floral scent. Used historically in traditional medicine and perfumes, think calming, grounding aromas. Aromas and flavours. Described as woody, earthy, herbal and tea-like. Subtle notes of floral, citrus and apple-like sweetness depending on the source. In cannabis, it's often a background player, not a punch-in-the-nose terpene like Myrcene or Limonene, but more of a balancer. Compare it to sipping chamomile tea instead of a triple shot espresso. Effects and science. Calming and sedative effects. Strains high in Nerolidol often lean towards relaxation and sleep. Antioxidant and antimicrobial. Studied for fighting bacteria, parasites, and even fungal infections. Skin penetration enhancer. Because Nerolidol can be absorbed into the skin, it's often used as a carrier to help other compounds do the same thing, which is why it shows up in topical cannabis products and cosmetics. There's also ongoing research into anxiety reduction, neuroprotection, and even malaria treatment. And now it's time for news from the garden. Alright, it's time to have a quick peek over the fence at what's been going on in the wider world of weed. Because whether it's breakthroughs, busts, or bureaucratic chaos, the cannabis garden is growing fast, and the news never sleeps. Chemo's plant wingman. Alright, first up, some wild lab results. Scientists threw Nerolidol into the mix with a common chemo drug called cyclophosphamide, and boom, it hit breast cancer cells harder than the chemo alone. Think of it like chemo was doing the heavy lifting, and Nerolidol came in like a cheeky gym buddy spotting the weight, making sure those cancer cells couldn't slip away. It basically shut the escape routes and pushed the cells into meltdown mode. Now, still in lab coat territory, not the doctor's office yet, but it shows Nerolidol's got potential as a serious medicinal sidekick. This next one's a bit different. After a heart attack, the brain can cop damage from the blood rushing back in, like a flood that wrecks the house while you're trying to fix it. Researchers gave Nerolidol to rats in that situation, and it acted like a fire blanket. Less brain damage, less inflammation, and even tidied up some of the chemical chaos that comes with the injury. So yeah, Nerolidol isn't just the sleepy time terp. It's shaping up as a bit of a protector terp, keeping things calm when the body's under fire. So, between playing chemo's wingman and acting like a brain blanket, Nerolidol is showing us that there's way more to it than floral aromas and couch lock vibes. Strains that carry Nerolidol. Some strains that carry Nerolidol include Skywalker OG, Sweet Skunk, Jack Herer sometimes shows some traces, and generally found in those sherbet flavour profiles. Nerolidol is like the backing track of a song. You don't always notice it, but it creates the mood. Without it, the whole vibe shifts. The experience. When Nerolidol shows up in a strain, you feel it in the body first. That heavy, relaxing drop that tells you the couch is now your best mate. This is evening gear. Roll one up after a long day, throw on a slow record, and let that earthy, floral smoke pull you gently towards stillness. And if you really want to lean in, pair it right. A chamomile or jasmine tea, maybe a ginger infusion, keeps the vibes soft. Food-wise, go earthy and light, maybe roasted root vegetables, a mellow stew, even a citrus salad to balance the calm. If you're thinking about doing anything, don't overthink it. Maybe just lay in the backyard and stare at the stars. That's Nerolidol's zone. And here's the fun kicker. You've probably met Nerolidol outside of weed without even knowing it. It pops up in perfumes, teas, and even detergents. Plus, mosquitoes hate it, so it's being studied as a natural repellent. In cannabis, it's more of a team player, blending beautifully with terps like Myrcene, Humulene, and Linalool to deepen that laid-back effect. So yeah, Nerolidol isn't flashy, but when it's there, you know it. It's the terp that turns a smoke session into a full-body exhale. And that wraps up our deep dive into Nerolidol, the hidden relaxer. We've now walked through the big terpenes at the table, each with their own story, flavour, and vibe. Now, this is usually where I'd say goodbye for another week, but today we're doing something a little different. Instead of heading straight out, we're going to sit back, roll one more, and take a proper look at the journey so far. A wrap-up of everything we've learned, pulling the threads together before we shift gears into the next big adventure, moving from terps to tents, from tasting to growing. So, if you're still with me, let's take a look back at some of the characters who have sat at the table so far. Think of it like a recap dinner party, each terp bringing their own dish, their own vibe, and their own little story. And at the end, I'll let you in on what's coming next. We're moving from smelling jars and rolling cones to getting our hands dirty in the grow. But let's not rush. Let's give these terps their curtain call. Alrighty, here's the Terpene Roll Call, Roo style. Myrcene, our very first terp guest. Earthy, musky, couch lock central. Myrcene's that mate that drags you onto the couch, puts on a movie, and somehow ends up stealing all your snacks. Limonene, bright, zesty, citrusy. This one's like your mate who's always bouncing around saying, let's go for a walk, let's go to the beach, let's do something. Pure sunshine in terp form. Caryophyllene, spicy, peppery, with a secret superpower. It binds to your CB2 receptors. Caryophylene's the cheeky one who talks tough, but is actually looking out for your body behind the scenes. Pinene, fresh pine forest. That's that clean breath of air on a bushwalk. Keeps your head clear when the heavy strains are trying to fog you up. Linalool, lavender calm. Think of that mate that brings candles and says, let's just chill for a sec. Perfect for winding down, taking the edge off. Humulene, earthy, woody, with a fun little quirk. It actually cuts your appetite. Humulene's the friend who says, nah, I'm good, when you offer them a snack at 2 AM, while the rest of you are smashing through the pantry. Terpinolene, the wildcard. Floral, fruity, herbal, piney. A bit of everything. Bit unpredictable. This is the mate that always rocks up late to the party wearing something outrageous and you can't quite tell if they're brilliant or just strange. Ocimene, sweet, tropical, uplifting, brings energy and freshness. Ocimene's the one who drags everyone out dancing when you thought you were staying in. And finally, Nerolidol, today's star. Floral, woody, relaxing. The hidden relaxer. Nerolidol's the one who brings you tea, tucks you in under a blanket, and makes sure the mozzies don't get you. Because, fun fact, mozzies hate it. The big picture. So, what's the point of all of this? Here's the big takeaway. Cannabis isn't just THC or CBD. It's this whole orchestra of compounds, and terpenes are the ones playing the melody. They change how you feel, how you taste, how you remember the moment, and they connect cannabis back to the rest of the plant world, to the lavender field, the citrus orchards, the pine forests, the herbal teas. When you know your terpenes, you don't just know your weed better, you know yourself better. You know why some strains lift you up and others tuck you in. What's next? Now, we've had a feast at the Terpene Table, but where do these flavours and effects actually come from? That's the next chapter. We're heading into grow guides, from soil to light, seeds to harvest. We're moving from the table to the garden. If you've ever thought about growing your own, or just want to understand how these beautiful plants do their thing, that's where we're going next. And don't stress, this won't be a dry lecture. It'll be Roo style, simple, practical, a bit cheeky, and always grounded in love of the plant. So, that's our terp journey wrapped up in a neat little cone, from the sleepy couch lock of Myrcene to the citrus spark of Limonene, from the spicy Caryophyllene to the floral calm of Nerolidol. They've all had their say at the table. The next stop, the grow. Until then, stay lifted, stay curious, and I hope to see you pull up a chair at the table.
Give me a home out in the bush, please, with lots of more trees, a balm or two, me, mate. Wild roots, some skunk out the back, hydro in the shed, in the old smoking chair. In the old smoking chair.